Imagine, if you dare, the foggy, gaslit streets of Victorian London, a time when the city was shrouded in mystery and shadows. Picture cobblestone streets, worn and weary from the passage of countless carriages, the air filled with the scent of soot and the faint, ever-present aroma of the Thames. The city's only sentinels against the enveloping darkness are dim gas lamps, their glow barely penetrating the thick fog that seems to consume all. This is the late 19th century, a time devoid of the safety net of modern technology. The people are left to their own devices, their fears heightened by the prevalent superstitions of the era. The fog, a constant companion, transforms familiar streets into winding labyrinths of the unknown. It's an era where the line between reality and imagination blurs, where every creaking door and distant footfall sends a shiver up one's spine. In this shrouded city, a maniac lurked, a terror yet unknown. Amid this backdrop of eerie darkness, a maniac arose, his weapon not a knife nor a gun, but something far more sinister. A figure, seemingly ordinary, blended seamlessly into the bustling crowd of Victorian London. A gentleman in appearance with a demeanor as calm as the River Thames. Yet, beneath this tranquil facade lurked a mind more twisted than the city's narrow, winding lanes. His method was as insidious as the fog that clung to the city's cobblestones. A small, almost invisible prick of a needle followed by a lethal dose of cyanide. A silent attack, leaving its victims lifeless, their faces frozen in an eternal grimace of terror. The first instances left the city reeling, confusion seeping into the hearts of its inhabitants like the persistent London drizzle. The maniac's poison of choice added a new layer of fear, a silent predator lurking in the shadows. As the death toll rose, the city became gripped with terror, the foggy streets now a hunting ground. With each passing night, the maniac's reign of terror spread, the city's heartbeat echoing with fear. As the moon rose, the streets of Victorian London fell into a dread-filled silence. The maniac, like a spectre, moved through the city, leaving a trail of horror in his wake. Every morning the city woke to the grim news of another life extinguished, the victim's veins filled with deadly cyanide. As the death toll mounted, panic set in. The city was gripped with fear, a pall of dread hanging over its once vibrant streets. The authorities, desperate to catch this monster, initiated massive manhunts, set up traps, and even offered bounties. Yet all their efforts proved futile against the cunning of the maniac. The maniac was always one step ahead, moving through the city like a shadow, invisible and untouchable. He toyed with the authorities, leaving cryptic messages at crime scenes, mocking their inability to stop him. It was as if he was not just a man, but a ghost, haunting the city and its inhabitants with his horrendous actions. The city's despair was palpable. The once bustling streets of Victorian London were now deserted at night, the joy and laughter replaced with fear and mourning. The city was held hostage by this one man, its lifeblood slowly draining away. In the heart of the city, a deadly game of cat and mouse ensued, with no end in sight. In the chilling climax of this tale, the maniac's game took an unexpected turn. As the final days of his reign of terror unfolded, the maniac's sinister laughter echoed through the foggy streets, his insatiable thirst for chaos seemingly unquenchable. His victims, once helpless, began to realize the pattern in his madness, the method behind his cruelty. A young woman, not yet touched by the maniac's poison, emerged as an unlikely heroine. She was a seamstress, her hands more accustomed to the delicate dance of the needle and thread than the cold grip of a weapon. Yet, she proved to be his downfall. Using her keen observation, she mapped his routine, his haunts, the timing of his attacks. It was on a bitterly cold night when the maniac, unaware of the trap laid for him, approached his next victim, the young seamstress. As he prepared his lethal injection, she struck, wresting the syringe from his grasp. In the ensuing struggle, the needle found its way into the maniac's own flesh, the deadly cyanide coursing through his veins. His laughter turned into a gurgling cry, his body convulsing as he fell to the cobblestone streets. His reign of terror was over, his life extinguished by his own weapon of choice. And so the foggy streets of Victorian London breathed a sigh of relief, the shadow of the maniac forever imprinted on its history.